Her body was found in the 24-acre area just behind me. This is the main intersection of this town, so Highway 35 and 75 are fully closed. A woman who lives on this road tells me that she sees cars speeding by all the time. One couple told me that they have pawned over $7,000 worth of items and 2 car titles, and his knee appears to be bruised and swollen. Just like this one right here. I'm here on Maple Street West, where 18-year-old Billy Rashawn Taylor was found dead 5 months ago.
Students have come together to march to different points on campus where they say these professors have been able to sexually abuse those students and staff.
On the day that would have been Billy Rashawn Taylor's 19th birthday, his father, Billy Taylor Jr., is no closer to finding out what happened to his son.
It's rough because we're trying to find answers why the community won't step up and talk. We just need them to talk.
In March, first responders found Billy Taylor with multiple gunshot wounds to his head on Maple Street West. He was transported to Huntsville Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Since that day, Billy Taylor Jr. has tirelessly sought for answers to what happened to his son. However, he says he's received no updates. I spoke to Fayetteville Police Commander Kobe Templeton about the investigation. Commander Templeton told me they are waiting on evidence from the state, and his investigators continue to follow any leads they are given. There is a $1,000 reward for anyone with information that will help investigators solve this case. However, Billy Taylor Jr. says he believes if the reward was higher, more people would come forward.
I don't think no one is talking because of just the $1,000. They just now, 2 weeks ago, they posted the reward. And I think it should have been posted way before, but they just posted it. I think if it was a little bit more, people would talk.
Taylor says this could happen to anyone's kid, so the community needs to help raise awareness to get the case solved.
They need to speak up, because it could be their child.
For senior Lauren Workman, making a legacy hasn't always been calling for change. That was until she got an email saying her former history professor, David Snyder, was being removed from the classroom due to sexual assault allegations.
But it wasn't made clear in the email to students if we would be made aware when he would be allowed to return, if he is. And so it's scary for me, like I have to go do laundry in that building. And I didn't even want to leave my apartment to go do laundry for so long because I was afraid he could just be there.
But Lauren isn't the only student who's been uncomfortable. Theater alumna Haley Sprankle reported her professor, Robert Richmond, after getting texts asking for sexual favors.
And we were both very uncomfortable. I know my friend was very unsure of what to do.
That's not all. Former arts major Allison Donovan filed several complaints and even a lawsuit after Professor David Voros allegedly forced poor living conditions and unwanted sexual advances on her during a study abroad trip.
After what happened in Italy, the school paid to fly me home because they said my safety was in question. And then when I got back, they didn't really want to hear about it.
Among other abuse claims, students have had enough, now turning their anger into action.
I think what we've done is just doing a lot of social media and boosting this message around, either with flyers around campus or just on social media, just boosting what's happening.
What started as a message turned into a march around campus, asking that the university fire all abusers.
Many students have come together to march to different points on campus where they say these professors have been able to sexually abuse those students and staff.
As they moved, students gave their demands to anyone that would hear them.
If they cared about students, they would have fired these people when the first allegation came through.
Though the professors have been removed from the classroom, Lauren says that more needs to be done.
It's not enough. And we've been asking for this since the Voros, that these people be removed from payroll. The university is failing us, and we're trying to prevent that from happening anymore on this campus.
For SGTV News 4, I'm Marisa Gjuraj.
So tell me, are you angry yet? Yeah! Let's keep going!
It's been worse. We've lived here 6 years now at this house, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And people just don't even regard the standard. Take him, for example.
Paula Pabst is concerned with the excessive speeding she sees while she's out in her yard, not far from where the Bethel Road becomes Ready section. She says the speeding has gotten so bad, she checks her mail through the backside of her mailbox to avoid getting close to the road. Just a few months ago, she says a speeding truck crashed into her yard.
They came along and took out our neighbor's mailbox, and then we're still in the air, but hit the concrete of the driveway and stopped and kind of went down. But the concrete of the curb here of the driveway actually went as far as our neighbors that way.
She says drivers need to slow down, and she wants the speed limit to be lowered.
To look down this way, there's enough of a hill that you can't see the cars coming, and that's not a very far distance. So you kind of need a sign down there that says blind driveway or something, because you cannot see them. So if you back out, you're going to get hit, especially when the car is going 45 miles an hour or more, which is usually the or more.
County Commissioner Jason Black says county leaders will consider these concerns, but he's not sure lowering the speed limit would help.
One is doing 65 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone. If we lowered that from 35 to 15, they're still going to do 65 miles an hour because they didn't respect the 35.
Nolan, everyone involved says it's well worth it. Today, I spoke with a medical student who created the database, who says it will benefit the community. I also spoke with a mother of an autistic child who's excited for this project.
It does make me feel safer, thinking that a first responder might come in, see my son flapping his arms or kicking and not be like, oh, like there's something really, really, really wrong.
Now take a look at your screen and you can see the form that family members or caregivers can fill out. Your responses will beat the database. It's a project and the brainchild of Fabian Odin, who has spent several months on the project. He wants a database as a result of his previous experience as a paramedic working with people with autism.
The reason why this database was created is because there is a large education gap between first responders and dealing with patients with autism. So with developing this database, it really helps with knowing on the front end of going in with the patient with autism on how we need to communicate with that individual.
However, the database will only work if participants in Colbert County fill out the form. If you or a family member is autistic, you're encouraged to fill it out. Once the form is filled out, Colbert County will tag your address. When 911 dispatchers receive a call, the individual's picture and information will come up on their screen. Today, I spoke with a mother of an autistic and nonverbal child. Allison Neal says she would most definitely use the database.
It's really good, just based simply on the fact is you can't always trust people to treat your child the way that you treat your child, but with a child who has special needs specifically. And so this being in place really kind of sets a precedent to hold people accountable for their actions and the way they treat people of this population.
Director of Colbert County 911, Michael Smith, says dispatchers can benefit by having information that the caller is autistic. That can change the way the dispatcher asks questions while meeting the individual's needs. He thinks it will be beneficial for the community. Nolan, back to you. Joining us, I'm Marisa Gjuraj. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, blood has been a scarce resource that medical personnel cannot get enough of.